Hello and welcome to GTO Coach and Go. I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. I want to thank you for joining us today on Election Day. Before we get started, if you've not done so yet, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that little subscribe button. Also, if you ring the bell, you'll be notified anytime we have new content on our YouTube channel. We'd also love for you to connect with us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey and make sure to like our Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page. We'd love for you to follow on all of our social media channels as well. Well, today we've got a lot of information to get to. We've been in development for quite some time with our On the Road app and working with tour directors and trying to find ways to get that management easier and more efficient for our users. And today we're going to explain a little bit about that. And to do that, I'm going to bring on the expert, the man himself. Let's bring on Corey Vries. Hi, Corey. How are you?
I'm fine, Jim. Where's this expert though you were talking about? I don't see him on here.
That would be you, my good man.
Oh,
That would
oh,
be.
let me adjust my glasses a little bit then.
So today we're going to be going over the tour director portal information, correct?
That is exactly right. It's something we've been super excited about rolling out. So if you're ready, I'm just going to jump in.
You go right ahead. You go right ahead.
All right. Let's see here. I guess I got to share a screen.
Absolutely.
Allow it. All right. So you should be seeing our faces.
Yes.
And there we go. Right.
Ooh,
Yes.
lots of our faces. Great.
Lots of our faces. Exactly right. So I've gone into Trip Manager for just a trip. This is a test trip that we have. June Cleaver here is taking a trip to Orlando, Florida, right here at the beginning of the year, next year. This is all stuff that you know. And I think we've done a coach and go on assigning a tour director to a trip, but we're gonna just review over that a little bit to see the actual exciting new part. So it's the way to keep you watching is I'll go over the old stuff, but then you got to wait for the new stuff. Again, on a trip in your tour director and driver information, you're ready to add a tour director trip to the trip at any time. And this works best, if you recall, when you have done your trip products, you've added attachments, and you've told those attachments that you want them to be for the tour director. So I just created a trip here. And if I went to the motor coach company, I'm just going to open up a new the motor coach company. We go down to the attachments. We'll see I put a demo document on here, right? So this would be like your bus contract. And you've actually checked it that the tour director can see it. And this is important later. So some of you have probably been like, there's a lot of check boxes that we got to do for different things. The reason this is going to become important is going to be clear in just a minute as far as why we would want to do that. You've also gone through your final itinerary process and you've created your final itinerary right here, ready to go. And you don't have to do this beforehand. I'm just saying that you want to get all of this done. And when you do it, you don't have to do any extra work for your tour director. So your tour director here, we're going to add our tour director to a trip. I have a test person that I like to use. His name is Testy McTesterson. And so we're going to select him. And a couple of new features, by the way, you could assign, you can assign more than one tour director to a trip. You can assign them to be the lead tour director if you'd like. Or if you'd like to put them in an order, it defaults to one. So if you only have one, that's fine. If you want to use an order, you can put up to 6 on there and have them all in a specific order. That's fine too. You can go ahead and do that. We're going to set our request status to requested, and our date requested is today. And so when you do that, it kind of gives you all that information. You can go ahead and save and close this. Or you can hit the request tour director button, right? You could do it either way you wanted to. If you want them to get an email, you need to hit the request tour director button. And if you don't want them to get an email, let's say you're assigning several trips to a person at one time. You don't want to receive them to receive an email every time you assign them a trip. If you are assigning them 8 in one day, let's say. So you have the option to do that. But when you save and close this, it's going to take you to the page that gives you all the information for that trip. This is something that you should be able to do already. This is where you'd request that tour director if you wanted to. Their status is requested. And it has all that information. There's your final itinerary for you. And we've sort of set this up for you to see what the tour director will see. Here are those two demo documents, our contracts that were, one's for the motor coach, one's for the hotel, that we made sure to check the 4TD, right? We did that on both of those. I showed you one of them. If we had created a rooming list and passenger manager, it would show up here. And if we had created a trip with any tour director documents. Now, if you have tour director documents that show up on every trip, like a you want a tour director report, or you want an accident report, or you want a evaluation report, or something of that nature. If you let us know, these will automatically get added when you create a new, or when you attach a new tour director to a trip. So I've just created a couple more demo documents here so that you can see that it was created when we create, dropped in there already. Now, all of this is pretty much the same as you've ever done it before. Now comes the cool part. We have created the Group Travel Odyssey Tour Director portal. Now, every tour director that you have put into the system already, so if you've given us a list of your tour directors and we've uploaded them to the system, they already have a username and password. All you're going to have to do is send them their username and password and ask them to log in. We're going to get you instructions on how to do that. If they don't have an account already, let's say it's somebody new, right? So from now on, you don't have to enter in your tour directors. They're going to enter in themselves. And they're going to press I don't have an account. They're going to fill out the information, and then they're going to be added to the system. Now, they do go through a process by which you approve them. So when you get an email that says this person is trying to become part of your company's tour directors, then you're going to say, yep, that's what I want. And then they're going to be added to your list. I already have a login because I am Testy McTesterson. I use my personal email for this. I've already done my password. Let's log in. First thing you're going to see is your profile. Now, you can all this information is for you to update and add to it. You can see general information. You can add anything you want to here. Like here, I'll add anything I want to. And you click save. And what it's doing, not only did it save it here, but it is also now saved in their tour director information in QuickBase. So now you have the ability to see all this information. We'll go look at that in a minute. You can put your experience. I'm 78 years as a tour director. I have signed up for the Awesome Travel Company. So you'll notice there's no updating here. That's because once they're signed up, you don't want them to sign up twice. And if they are, let's say they travel with Awesome Travel Company, but they also travel with the other guy's travel company, then both companies would be listed there. Both companies would be able to see them. They have the choice to see if it's a public profile or not. Now, this is interesting because if your tour director wants to be searched by someone else and used, that's fine. Let's do that. Plus, it means that when someone else signs up for this and they click that, that means when you're in need of a tour director, you can search the public ones for people that you may not have necessarily known before, especially in emergency situations, or with COVID going around, you got to get someone at the last minute, or you're going to a destination you don't have any tour directors at. Now you'll be able to search public profiles of tour directors for that availability. They can put in their licensed cities and qualified destinations, just whatever cities they want to put in there. Group types, you can do this would be choosing adult or student, right? Or both. You can do both if you'd like. That's just so it's easily searchable later. They have a website. Closest airport, nearest major airport. So for instance, my closest airport is Greenville Spartanburg, but my nearest major airport is probably Charlotte or Atlanta, so that you know where to fly out of. Any frequent flyer or TSA info, you can screenshot this if you want to, but I promise you none of those numbers actually matter. But it does mean that they will have access to that. So if they have to get you a flight, they don't have to call you and ask you for all that kind of information. Date of birth, it's unupdatable. I wish I were born in 1992, but I was not. But it is part of the sign-up process. When you sign up, it'll ask you your date of birth. My contact info, phone number, cell phone number, my shirt size, what style preference I have, and then my address here. I live on Mockingbird Lane in New Haven, Connecticut. And I want to say Mockingbird Lane is where the Munsters lived, if that helps you any, Jim.
1313 Mockingbird Lane.
That's what it was. I should have known 1313. And then if they have a secondary address as well. That's all right here under the My Profile section. So if you click on My Profile, it's going to bring you to this. This is the default to start. If you want to do some things about like your password and stuff, you're going to click on this and you can update your password. And that's always best to do every now and then. The next thing is the My Trips section. So every trip that goes through GTO will now be listed on the My Trips section. And when I click on it, oops, here's that trip that I just requested myself for. As you will see, it's the 2023 test account, Orlando, Florida, 2023 GTO test account, Orlando, Florida. This is our trip. And it's asking me, it's telling me how many people, what time the group is arriving. And you're like, well, that's not a whole lot of information. Interestingly enough, once I click down on this trip info, the trip info is there, including whether or not I need to arrive the day before and the day after. It's telling me that the trip starts on the 1st, but I have to arrive on the 31st because they need me the day before. And it ends on the 4th, but they need me there on the 5th because it ends on the day after. So it will also tell you any information that you've put in the information for tour director section on the trip. I just typed in information, or I just typed in Bob Singleton and a number. I feel bad for whoever's number is 987-654-3210. As now everyone, I'm sure, will dial it. It will also give you the hotel and transportation issue. I realized just before I got on here that I had not attached an address to the hotel when I created the awesome hotel. And so that's why that's not showing up here, but it will indeed show you the hotel information. Will also show your motor coach information and your driver's names. If it had flight information, your flight information would show up here as well. Also those documents. So here's your hotel and security document. Here's a transportation document. And then the tour director documents that we said, if you give us your tour director documents, they'll automatically upload. So now they have every document. And so if I open this document, I know it's going to be scandalous what I have attached here. It is indeed a document about viola and violin sizings for small children. But you can see that they can immediately just open this, right? It's there for them to open and use. So, and then an emergency number, right? I can say, I don't want this trip, and I'll hit decline, or I do want this trip, and I will hit accept. So let's just say I want to do this trip, I'll hit accept. It's going to go down into my upcoming trips. So you'll see requested trips, upcoming trips, previous trips. So once this trip is gone, so on January 5th, this trip is going to shift into my previous trips, and you will now have a list of all the trips through GTO that you've done, all year long. You can keep track of them for your records. You can keep track of them for your taxes. You can keep track of them just to go back and see if you can try to remember what a trip was like. If you needed to go back and fill out a form that you didn't fill out by accident, you'll be able to go do that. And all of these you can access the trip info by clicking on there and you'll pull it down. And you'll also notice that the final itinerary is sitting right here on the when the final itinerary is dropped in. So if you do all your work over in the On the Road app, or I'm sorry, in the Trip Manager app, then the only thing you have to do is choose a tour director, and the rest is done for you. Because let's say now that it is December 31st, and I'm in Orlando, and I want to know about my trip. All I have to do is log into the portal, and my trip info is right here for me. If you add confirmations to the list, it's live. They will update here immediately. If you change out a contract, if you update a contract, and you switch the checkbox from one to the other, the for TD checkbox. So you say, no, I don't want this one. I've got an updated one. I'm going to uncheck this one for TD, and I'm going to add this one for TD. Then it will show up here as well live. So if they're on the trip and you update a contract live, no more emailing it to them, no more coming up with some grand way to add attachments. It is simply here for them the entire trip. Some accident happens that they have to report. They don't have to go searching for it. They come onto the portal, they open up the accident document, they fill it out, and send it back to you in some way. So this is going to be a fabulous tool, and it's mobile. It's mobile ready. So all you have to do is log in on Safari or whatever, Chrome, whatever you're using on your phone as well. You log into the same portal, and it makes it look correct on a phone screen, or an iPad screen. So if you're like, no one's carrying around a laptop in their back pocket, but they are going to have their phone, an iPad. I like to do an iPad when I'm doing trips. It's you have it in your hand already. You don't have to do any printing out of paper. And the thing is since they're downloading, right? This thing downloaded to my computer when I clicked on it just a second ago. That means that if it downloaded to your phone, if they wanted to, they could download the whole thing without having to do attachments, without having to do all that. It would already be on their phone or their iPad or their computer. So in those places where you don't have service, you would still have the availability of those if you downloaded them, but you don't have to send them in some sort of packet anymore. It's instantaneous. The minute they accept the trip, they're ready to go. Now, I will say that when we come back over to On the Road, you're going to find out that this has been accepted now that we've done that. And what you want to do is you want to go into edit mode and you want to mark that confirmed. We confirmed that today. The reason that the reason we've added that step, by the way, is because when they're accepting it, that doesn't mean you know that. Except that I will also say, I received an email saying that I accepted it. So I'm the account manager on this trip, and so it sent me an email that Testy McTesterson has accepted this trip. So then I could have clicked on this, which would take me right back to here, and then I would mark it confirmed, because we don't want you to not know they accepted it. What if they had declined it? It would also tell you that it was declined, right? Because that's one of our choices is declined here. So it would come back declined, and then what you do is you delete it out and start with somebody else. But now when we save and close, we've confirmed this trip. That's awesome. We're going to come back to that trip in Trip Manager. We're going to come to our tour director information, and I want you to notice that we are definitely confirmed for this trip. And then if we go back to the portal and I do a little refreshing, I think I'm going to have to log in again. Sorry. And you'll notice that the status is confirmed as well. So there you have it, right? All the stuff for the tour director. Now, you as a person who assigns the tour director, one other thing I kind of wanted to mention to you. When I go into Trip Manager, I now have a report that is called Tour Director Assigning Report. And in this Tour Director Assigning Report, I have all my test trips on here. And you're going to notice, by the way, if you didn't know you could do this, I'm just going to shove this over so I can see a few things. Here, we're going to scroll down and we're going to see that this trip, here it is. This must be our trip right here, because we have Testy McTesterson is confirmed for this trip. And I also want you to know that what this says is this date was requested on the 8th. It says TM here because if you had done 2 different people, it would tell you which one you requested on which date, and then which one you would confirmed on which date. But you'll also notice from here, there's an add tour director to trip right here. So if you're looking down and you're like, oh man, I have totally forgotten to do the Delleman account 10th grade baseball to Washington. What am I going to do? That trip actually left yesterday.
Whoops.
You could actually go over and request it from this button here, right? This is just going to take you exactly to that same thing where you would add somebody, right? And if we did Testy here on this one, you know, the same thing, right? He's been requested, and we go back to that report, and we scroll on down to I have my screen a little too big so everybody can see it. But if we scroll down to Testing McTesterson, and I don't remember, oh, here it is. So it's telling me that I've requested somebody, right? And that means that it, you know, like you have a list now of where everybody is. Testing McTesterson hasn't actually responded to this yet, but I promise you, when we come over to my trips again, I'm having a little bit of an issue. It doesn't, sometimes our portal doesn't like to refresh, but that's okay because normally we wouldn't be doing this live like this. Okay, so once I log back in, it doesn't like me leaving it and coming back. You can see the new trip, right, that we've just done. I'm going to decline this one. I don't want that trip. Jim Delleman's a hack. I'm not doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, just kidding. And when we refresh this page, we're going to scroll on down, and we are going to see that Testy McTesterson has declined this trip, right? And the best part about it is you're like, God, that Testy, what a jerk, right? You know what we're going to do? We're going to delete this trip, or delete this tour director from this trip. And now when we go back, to our table, he's not going to be on there anymore. And so then you can start over. You can leave him on there as declined for a while if you'd like, but you can see the status of everybody is basically what we're saying here, and where they are in the operation status. So like this booking one needed to be done quickly because they're booking, and these other ones are just contracting. So one last thing to mention to you, which is, how do you know when a tour director is taken? You know, it's just not available. How do I know when a tour director is available? So a tour director can come on here and go to the My Availability page. They're going to see a month. And I want to be available now for the entire month of January. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first day. And you know what? I want January, February, and March. And if I click on that last day and I click Update, here's what's going to happen. It's going to fail to set the availability because I have to log out and log back in because I left it. Again, a tour director won't be going back and forth between the two things, so that's not really going to be an issue for anyone, unless I guess you're assigning. But you'll notice that actually it did start to assign a bunch of days for me, right? It's in the middle of assigning them. Just needed a little bit of time. And so here are all the dates that it has assigned me. And let's say I can't really do the 2nd or the 3rd, or I mean, sorry, February 3rd. Then I'm going to click on that. I can't do the 4th either. And I'm going to delete those out. And then when I go to the 2nd or the 3rd, you're going to notice that those days are available again for me, right? And I could do this if I wanted to and update that availability. Okay, and you see they're gone. I'm going to go down to the 2nd or the 3rd again, or how about 3rd and 4th? Sure, we'll delete them out again. and they become available for me again. Now that automatically updates on the tour director, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But I also want you to know that when a trip is assigned to me, it will also take my availability out. So let's say you have a tour director and they're going on a trip February 8th through the 11th, and you assign that trip to me. It will tell you in Trip Manager that I am taken during that time. Now, the only problem is they have to update their availability before you assign the trip. So it's not going to backdo it. So, for instance, the trip that I'm already on, I should not list as days that I have available because it's already taken up with something. But all trips added after their availability has been added will take the availability away. So you're gonna, if I came over here and I went to Testy McTesterson, easy to do because all I have to do is click through to the tour director. And I go to the availability tab. Now this availability will be shown a little bit easier in the future on the tour director portion of the app, like where you're assigning tour directors. That's not currently completed yet, but I do want you to notice that you could go there and you'll notice that I'm available on these days. You're going to notice that I am not available on the 3rd and 4th of February, just like I took off my calendar. But if I add a trip to mine that, say, takes up some of these available days, they're going to turn red to be not available. So you're going to see either blank, which means that they did not put available in there. You're going to see available, which means that assign away, they're ready to go. Or you're going to see the in red, not available. And basically what that's going to do is say that you've already assigned them a trip or someone else has assigned them a trip, and you better start assigning them a little bit earlier next time because they're already booked up. Must be a good tour director. So that availability is very easy to add for you from the tour director portal. You just select the days that you're available. And you can do months at a time. You can do a month at a time. You can do days at a time if you like. I want that day. You click the update button, or you select that, or you can select like a set of them. Let's say you're available on these days. I'm going to update it, right? And then, but I really, so now I'm available those days, but I have a wedding on the 12th. So now I have to go now to April 12th, right? That's 3/12, which hasn't been added here yet because it hasn't updated. We'll say it's on the 11th. That'll be good. And you undo it. And when you come back up here, oh, because that's March. Sorry, guys. But you'll notice on March 11th, I'm now available. Sorry, the 3rd month is March, not April. And that's how easy my availability is. And there's some instructions there for the tour director. And that's basically what we've got going on. I think this is something a lot of people have been waiting for, and it's something that I think should really streamline the process. It almost makes Trip Manager make sense because it's always been a booking tool, you know. And some people have always said, "Well, why do I need to check this? And why do I need to do this?" And I've said, "Look, if you do it here, it saves you time on the end." I know a company that spends time scanning in all their documents into one attachment so they can send the attachment. That's a lot of time that they're taking to do that. And basically now all you have to do is assign the tour director the trip and the rest of the stuff is done. You did it already. No more double doing things. You don't have to scan anything. You don't, except to get it into the system. And that's it. We're going to move it around.
Fantastic.
So hopefully that gives everybody a good start. Like I said, we're going to send out some instructions to everyone along with their list of tour directors and their passwords so that they can send them out to their tour directors so their tour directors can start logging in. Once that's done, email notifications for getting email notifications that you can send to say there's a new trip for you to review will be active. That's not active right now because those tour directors will be like, why am I receiving this email? Until you have to tell them that all this stuff is going to be there for them and log in. Does this stop you from doing it the old way? Absolutely not. Yeah, you can do it any way you'd like to. So if you've got some 80-year-old tour director out there who doesn't even know how to turn on a computer, let alone log into a portal, then send them their packet through the U.S. Postal Service, and that will all be good. But when you've got that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old that really knows how to use computers and get the best out of them, then this is going to be something where they just don't have to carry around that whole packet anymore. Don't have to worry about losing papers. If they drop their iPad, just whip out your phone and get it through there. You've lost both of those things? Get yourself a laptop because it's cloud-based. All you have to do is get to the portal and log in.
That's brilliant.
So we're
but like you said, people have been waiting for this. So for those of you who want more information or need to be walked through this, you can reach out to Corey. You can reach out through the help desk, actually, if you want to as well. If you email our help desk at help@gtonetwork.com and make sure to put help in the subject line, we can go ahead and get something scheduled if you want to learn more about how to get all of this stuff done. Also, if you know tour directors who may be interested, send them our way as well. Because we want to make sure that people have the ability to get in and put their availability, so that way you're not struggling to find tour directors at the last minute either. So, Corey, this is fantastic. It really, really is. So you will have to excuse, the sun has now decided to come around the house to the opposite side of my office, and so I look like I'm bathed in some sort of wonderful light. And
yes,
it is sun, and it's November, and up here in the north, it's it's very welcome. So
I thought it was your halo for a minute, and then I just realized it's daylight standard, or it's standard time coming to haunt you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so funny because I'm getting used to that. You're just sort of like, wait a minute, this didn't happen 2 weeks ago. So just a reminder, speaking of that, Coach and Go does happen every 2 weeks, every other week on Tuesdays at 2:00 Eastern time. We bring people like Corey, myself, Christina, Keith, everybody will come on and share something about GTO that's going to hopefully make your life a little bit easier. So make sure to join us. And if you, as we've said before, if you don't catch us live, all of our Coach and Goes and all of our destination dispatches can be found on our YouTube channel. So again, make sure to get in there and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Also, speaking of destination dispatch, this Thursday, we do have destination dispatch at 2:00, where we're going to be learning everything we want to learn about Richmond, Virginia. There's some really fantastic, really rich history in Richmond. So make sure to join us Thursday at 2:00 to learn more about Richmond, Virginia and Destination Dispatch. So Corey, thank you so much for joining today. This is really, really fantastic information. I know it's been worked on for a very long time, and we're really excited because this is a huge piece of the puzzle to get all of these parts of your trip to be organized more efficiently, and just basically with a click of a couple of buttons, you have all of that information that you need. And also for them to have their tour director packets this way is a lifesaver, and live updates to contracts, live updates to changes, live updates to additions that may happen. So, it is really, really important. And it's something that we're really very proud of and very happy to be adding to that On the Road app. So again, contact us if you need more information. And Corey, I want to say thank you so much for joining us once again. It's always great to spend Tuesdays with you.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
See what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I had to do that. So just a reminder, everybody, if you are watching us live, get out there and vote if you've not done so. And we hope to see you very, very soon on another episode of GTO Coach and Go. Have a fantastic week.
Thank you for watching this episode of GTO Coach and Go. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And be sure to check out more of our media, including Destination Dispatch and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.